My name is Richard Jabbour, and this is In the In-Between. Welcome to episode 2 of the Caregiver's Journey as I continue to tell this story. I'm often drawn back to Steve Jobs' words about connecting dots, and that you can only do that looking back on your life. And so now I guess I tell you one thing that I learned in this process. And, well, it was a tough lesson. And it's a lesson everybody maybe can think about. I don't know. You have to decide for yourself. We found something a little different when they were, looking at my wife's neck to see what that pain was. And it was something different than where we ended up, for sure. And, well, that was the beginning of diagnosis. And we were connected to the healthcare community pretty well. So that very day we were in with the next physician, the one that would have care of my wife for some time to come. When looking at things, you have to kind of quote the middle of the fairway. What's the likely outcome here, Doc? And without any information, without any plan, without any outcomes being discovered, maybe a year, 18 months at the outside. That's pretty ambiguous. What does that do to a life when someone says something that finite to you when you're, well, I guess at the time, 57 years old? It's hard to know. I don't know if I know yet, but it's possible all of us do. Nobody walks up to you and says, even if you're in good health, a year and a half, tops. There is a day in everyone's life when you have a year, 18 months tops left. The thing that we have as people who are otherwise in relatively good health, have no awareness of anything that might be happening to us that's unusual, is we have this kind of constructive ambiguity that our life will go on forever. As I sit here turning 64 soon, I still have that feeling. And I know it's a bad thing to feel and believe. Would it have been better if that physician knew at that moment, with absolute certainty, you have 1,627 good days left, and that'll be followed by about 30 days that aren't so awesome. And that is with absolute certainty the rest of your life. And as Steve Jobs said in a commencement address, you can only connect those dots looking back. I know the number of days that she had left that were good. I know the days we left our home on 30A back for Vanderbilt. I know that exact day. And that was the 1,627th day after diagnosis. But that's not really the story. Without being able to connect the dots, because we were only looking in the forward direction at that time, we had no idea what was going on. We had no idea what the next step would be. And we lived every single day with fear and worry and some stress. And fortunately, we did get good results along the way, and we could remove that stress for a time and take a couple of weeks off and go to Belize, or run back and forth between our home in Florida and our home in Memphis. Wow. Wouldn't it have been nice to know, I think, that you had a certain amount of good days left? And in those certain amount of good days, you could live every day stress-free. I wonder if knowing with certainty you have 1,627 good days left to live before you'll have some bad ones. I wonder if that's comforting. I wonder if that's more comforting than thinking you only have a year, or not even knowing how long it's going to be, but not thinking it could even be 1,627 days. That's the broad lesson that I began to learn after all of these things had transpired. And I often try to keep myself inspired to know that no matter how many days I have left, the people on my real estate team, people in my life, people that I'm friends with, that I have a life with, that exhibit stress, and I'll say to them, how old are you? I'll use myself as an example. Well, I'm 64 years old almost now. I'll pull out my calculator and I'll say, look how many days have gone by. Did you worry about what you ate yesterday when you were 20? Did you think to take a breath today? Did you 30 years ago wonder where you'd be 30 years from now and whether you'd have a car to drive or enough money to sustain yourself? What I learned through that caregiver's journey was that there is some point in time in my life and in yours and in everyone's life where you have 1,627 good days left. Don't stress the last day too soon. Don't worry about the last day until you know it's there. Live. And as some time went on and we did get some results, we did find happy moments and we did find peace and relative tranquility. But only at the end did I have the ability to look back and say, she had 1,627 good days to live and a few bad ones until the end. And if we'd have known that up front, it might have changed a few little things. But I carried on the lesson because Brenda's gone now and I'm still here. That's the caregiver's journey. Thanks for watching.